monsters. The following was adapted from the memoir Mother at Seven, the shocking true story of an Armenian girl's stolen childhood and her family's unspeakable cruelty and betrayal, by Veronika G. Veronika G. was born in Sochi, Russia in 1981. Veronika and her family are of Armenian persuasion. Her life pivoted dramatically from the paradigm of a typical elementary school girl to a life of imposition and hardship in April 1988, for that is when her brother was born. Her father was a doctor and her mother was a teacher, so they didn't have much time to look after their son. Veronika's relationship with her mother had been good until that day, when she and her father went to the hospital to pick up her mother and the baby. Veronika could barely contain her excitement and was quite noisy and boisterous, so much so it annoyed one of the hospital clerks. When her mother was wheeled out with the baby, Veronika jumped up and made a beeline for them. She couldn't wait to see her newborn brother up close. She was bursting with enthusiasm as she raved to him, "Hello, my little baby. I have waited for you for so long. Now you are going to play with me and eat with me and sleep with me and watch TV with me." And her mother was not exactly charmed by this, for she interjected with, "You are standing way too close to him. You are way too loud for him. You are being quite annoying and obnoxious. So just move away so the baby and I can breathe." The metaphysical mist of venom muted Veronika. Blood drained from Veronika's face, and she took a step backward in sync. Her mother was like a grizzly bear protecting her cubs, only the threat posed by mother bears is widely known. Veronika had never seen that side of her mother before. Her father didn't even acknowledge her existence during this occasion. Veronika suddenly felt like she had no family at all. As time would tell, that feeling would be reinforced by experience. Worse, now that her brother was born, Veronika would be required to do all the housework in addition to all the child care. All her mother would do was watch television and pamper herself. This after her mother went on a 3-year maternity leave. Veronika was even expected to stand in long lines for food and other necessities. It got to a point where her mother had her missing several days of school, leaving Veronika to attend 2 to 3 days a week. Her social life dwindled and her grade point average was in decline. She became very lonely and depressed. One day she approached her mother to inform her about the change in her circumstances since the baby came along. "Mother, I have to talk to you about something very important." Without looking up from the magazine she was reading, her mother said, "Go ahead." "I am not doing that well in school anymore, and I have to catch up on a couple of months' worth of homework. Also, most of my A's have now become B's and C's, and I might be failing a couple of my classes. You should work harder to bring your grades back up to A's." "I'm trying to do it, Mother, but to bring my grades up, I have to be in school every day." "You are obviously not trying hard enough, and that's why you are standing here and annoying me." "I don't have time, and that is the problem. I cannot continue to be the one to get the food for the house most mornings." Veronika chose to go to school the following day instead of waiting outside of factories for hours for food. When Veronika returned home from school, the door was unlocked. When she stepped inside, she found that the apartment was very quiet. She entered the kitchen and found that her mother, father, and a friend of theirs had congregated for some kind of meeting. After a moment, her father said to her, "Do you remember Uncle Armin?" "Yes." "Your mother called him here because last night she realized that you are entering the age when you are going to start to disobey her and me. With my busy work schedule and not being home and available that much, she needs help from someone else to discipline you, just in case." "What is discipline?" "It's when you don't listen to your mother or me. That is when Uncle Armin will make sure that you do, and you have to obey her, me, and him now. Understand?" Some time passed, and Veronika was in the middle of doing her homework. Suddenly Armin approached. He didn't come across as friendly and avuncular. He was scowling and came across as approaching with a destructive agenda. He removed his belt. He struck her on her wrists with the belt. It was so painful she screamed and teared up upon impact. She examined her wrists. His belt had left an imprint. She put her hands under the table. After having done so, he lashed her upper arms. She screamed at an even louder decibel. He said to her, "Your father is in the shower and your mother doesn't want to hear it, so do not scream. Screaming is useless at this moment." She sensed that he was about to belt her hands again, so she hid them behind her back. This was rewarded with a lashing across her face. She patted her burning cheek. She tried to crawl to the other side of the room so she could seek asylum under the piano. Before she could make it, he lashed her legs. This hurt so bad she collapsed onto her stomach. He lashed her again. She screamed with greater volume than ever. "Ma! Mommy! Mommy! Daddy!" She begged him to stop, but it only fueled his aggression. He was a sadist. He lashed her head and face a few more times. Now she was smarting from stinging pain all over her body. She managed to escape by fleeing the living room. Her father was still having a shower, so she didn't disturb him. She went to the kitchen seeking intervention by her mother. Her mother was there, and she was quietly reading a periodical. She was bouncing the baby on her knee and eating chocolates. All while Veronika could have stripped the walls of old paint with her screaming. Armin came into the kitchen, and Veronika crawled underneath the table to protect herself. She begged her mother to protect her from him. Her mother didn't even say anything. Mercifully, a few minutes later, Armin said, "I think she got enough punishment this first time." Her mother said, "Are you sure she has learned her lesson?" "Yes, I think so. She got about a dozen hits all over." "Okay, fine. If you say she is all set, then she is." This betrayal broke Veronika's heart. She was indentured into slavery, neglected into poverty, and now her safety was far from assured. Veronika was so shell-shocked by what happened, she remained under the table for 2 hours. She contemplated the complete disregard to which she was subjected by both parents. Her mother arranged for physical torture, and her father couldn't have possibly been less interested in his daughter and her life. The emotional and physical wounds lingered both in the short and long term. Armin became a regular visitor to the household. It didn't matter what Veronika did. If her mother was somehow dissatisfied with her output, Armin would swoop down and visit abuse upon Veronika. When he didn't, her mother threatened her with his lashes. The subsequent beatings lasted longer and covered more territory. It seemed to Veronika that he enjoyed lashing her. One day Armin came over and Veronika had been slow in responding. When she finally unlocked the door, he pushed her up to the floor. As she beheld his specter from down there, he said, "Give me just one reason why it took you so long to unlock the door. Just one." I don't know why. I was with the baby in the living room, and then I heard the knocking and came to the door right away." He shouted, "I knocked for at least 2 minutes, so don't lie to me. Don't ever lie to me. I swear I was with the baby in the living room when I heard the knocks." He pressed his foot onto her stomach as if to use it as a gas pedal of sorts to drive more anguish into her. He said, "That's it. Now get up and go into the corner and stand on your knees for the next 3 hours. I can't get up. Please move your foot. Get up now or I will smash your face. I can't move, Uncle. Please move your foot off of my stomach and I will get right up and go to the corner." He smacked her face as hard as he could and then planted his boot on her stomach again. This last torture was worse than anything he had dished out to her by that date. He told her that if she reacted loudly enough to wake the baby, he would unleash even worse torment than ever before. When he finally withdrew his foot, she curled into the fetal position within her moment of recovery. This enraged Armin, and he kicked her thigh. He ordered her to go to the corner. As she made her way to the corner, he went to the kitchen and filled a plastic bag with dry beans. The purpose was to have her kneeling on them, which was far more painful than it sounds, especially throughout the duration of 3 hours. He had been doing it for months because he was a sadistic, child-abusing bastard. The torture continued to escalate. At first, Armin only lashed her with the leather strap of his belt. Now he was striking her only with the buckle, and this was more painful than anything he had dealt out before. The wounds were deeper, more painful, and took longer to heal, especially since she would be lashed again in the same spots before the healing cycle's conclusion. Her parents kept her home when the wounds and bruises would have been visible to outsiders. Armin seemed to have some kind of baseless grudge against Veronika. He would do things like keep her up all night with all the lights on, and if she fell asleep, he would see her eyes were closed and lash her with the belt. If she screamed, she would be beaten the following day with such brutality that she wouldn't be able to sit down for 2 to 3 days. For once, Veronika was permitted to go play outdoors for 2 hours on a Saturday. She was disappointed that her mother made her take her brother along, but she was happy to play with her friends nonetheless. She and her friends went to a nearby river to play. She left her brother on the shore. When she looked back to check on him after a time, she was terrified to find that he had waded out into the river. She ran back. As she did, she heard a familiar voice screaming. Her mother. Her mother was running toward her brother. Her brother fell into the water and nearly drowned. He was saved just as he was submerged and took in some water. Both Veronika and her mother had saved him. He was saved just as he was submerged and took in some water. Both Veronika and her mother had saved him. Veronika knew she would not see her friends again after a very long time following that incident. Her mother would not allow Veronika into the apartment at first. Veronika said from the hallway that she was sorry. Her mother said, "I am not going to ever forgive you for what you did, so sit there and think deeply on what you have done. Mother, I know what I did was very terrible, but I will never do that again. I am very sorry. Mom, please let me in. I have to go to the bathroom badly. My belly hurts and my feet got all cut up and are bleeding from running in the water. Yeah, sure, I will be right there. Hold on a minute. Veronika was left in the hallway so long she couldn't control her bodily functions and urinated on the floor. She also fell asleep. Veronika woke when her father got home. He was curious to know why she was in such poor condition. He pushed on the door and it opened. Her mother had unlocked it while she was asleep. Her mother said to her father, "I don't want to see that pig, so keep her out of my sight." What is going on over here? And why is she outside on the floor with bloody feet and completely wet clothes? She smells like pee. If I tell you what she did, you will kill her with your own 2 hands. It doesn't matter at this moment, because both of her legs are covered in blood, and she is not in good condition. Trust me, you shouldn't care about her bleeding or even breathing. She almost killed my child. Is that something that I should be okay with? I don't know who was trying to kill whom, but you and the baby look okay to me while Vera's clothes are completely wet. She smells like urine, and both of her feet are covered in blood. He took Veronika to the bathroom and helped her clean up. He applied alcohol to her wounds. He said to her, "I don't have time to listen to what happened, but we will talk about this tomorrow. I am on my break and have to go back to work. Dad, please don't leave. Take me to work with you. I don't want to stay here today. I will sleep in the ambulance or in the waiting room until you finish. You can't come with me because I am working in the busiest department of the ER today, and I have very difficult cases to deal with, non-stop. Take a shower, eat, and put some bandages on all of your cuts. We will talk tomorrow." Veronika fell asleep on the cold bathroom floor because it offered some relief from the pain. She woke up sometime later to the sound of a pounding in the bathroom door. It was Armin. He shouted, "Open the door right now before I break it down." Okay, I'm getting up." She unlocked the door, and before she could open it up all the way, Armin reached in and grabbed her by her hair. As he dragged her to the living room, he shouted, "I know everything. I know what you did and how you planned that out. What kind of 8-year-old plans such a terrible crime, so carefully and so calculated? What girl would attempt to kill her own brother in such a terrible way as by drowning him?" He was screaming in her face. "You wanted him to be drowned in the water? That's great, because now you will not see water at all until you will be almost near death. I will make sure you are near death before you can have 1 drop of it." Kill who? Kill my baby? I would never do such a thing. It was a totally unplanned accident. A mistake of mine, and I would... He backhanded her face with his wrist. He threw her down to the floor and kicked her in her legs and lower stomach. He said, "Those small cuts on your feet will be the least of your concerns, low-life animal." He began whipping her with a tree branch, and it drew small currents of blood. It was more painful than anything else he had dealt out to her. He said, "Just so you know, this type of tool has been used on very bad people for centuries. It cuts your skin and could leave a permanent scar if I hit you too hard with it. You do not want this to land on your face or neck. Trust me. Plus, you should be thankful that I took my time to prepare this new, beautiful whip just for you. I promise it is going to make you a better person. Every time you scream, I will add 1 more slash." How many do I have to get today, Uncle?" "I told your mother that you needed 10, but she insisted on 15. I can do 12 if you stay quiet and not make any sounds at all." Veronika agreed to 12. When he was finished, he threw the switch down next to her. As he departed, he said, "Okay, you are done for today. Oh yeah, and that was just the physical part of your punishment. You also cannot have any food or water for the next 24 hours." Veronika beheld her wounded body in the mirror afterwards. She said to herself, of Armin, "This man took his time, created the whip, made sure that he whipped me carefully and perfectly, and even spaced the bloody red lines at the same length from one another. He is actually a great artist to paint my body in such a strange yet perfect way." Of herself, she said, "You are not a girl. You are a painting, a beautiful, one-of-a-kind painting. Just like all the rare paintings, you will survive, you will be priceless, and you will live forever." Veronika had a very loving relationship with her paternal grandmother. Her father did nothing to so much as abate the tortures Armin was inflicted on Veronika because he was panty-waisted. His mother wouldn't stand for it if it happened while she was on the premises. One day she walked in while Armin had Veronika on the floor and he was lashing her with his belt. Her grandmother grabbed the belt from him and said in Armenian things like, "My granddaughter, you sick, ugly pig. I will show you how to behave." Armin was helpless against this. He said, "What are you doing, you crazy old woman? Stop immediately. You are hurting me." Her grandmother helped Veronika get herself together afterwards. She said to her, "I am only staying for 3 days this time. But when you turn 17, you can come and live with me. You remember that." "I know, Gram, but how can I leave the baby here alone? I have to stay until he is old enough to come with me." "We will figure it out. There is always a way out." It had been a tradition for Russian children at or about midnight on New Year's Eve to make a list of wishes. When she was younger, she would wish for things like a new outfit of clothing or a new baby, both of which she had gotten. Her most recent list reflected the sinister backdrop of her life. "I wish to die as soon as possible, but painlessly. I wish for someone to kill me, for whatever reason. I wish to find the strength to kill myself without pain. I wish to get hit by a big car or a huge bus and die. I wish to fall asleep and only wake up if I'm in heaven." It was also tradition to burn the list on a candle's flame, and that she did. Veronika got one of her wishes. One day on her way home from school, she hadn't minded the traffic while getting off a bus, and she was hit by another bus on her left side. She flew an estimated 50 feet. It was a crowded part of the city, so people offered assistance however they could. As she lay on the street, it occurred to her that she wished to be hit by a vehicle, and her wish was granted. She felt she had willed it into action. When an ambulance arrived, a doctor in a white coat stepped in as bystanders stepped aside. It was her father. Veronika screamed, "Daddy, what are you doing here? Do not move. I need to check you first to see how many bones are broken." "Broken? I don't think I broke anything. I don't have pain anywhere." "That's impossible. You must have broken something. It's just your body is in such shock and you don't feel it right now." I don't think you broke any bones." "Can you move your legs and arms?" "Yes, Dad, I can, very easily. I think I scratched my arm." After she was loaded onto a stretcher and placed in an ambulance, she said, "Dad, can you please tell the driver to turn the sirens on just for a few seconds? Please? I just want to feel important." He convinced the driver to turn the siren on for a moment. Her father said, "You don't realize how lucky you are and how perfectly your body landed after the hit. There isn't one broken bone in your whole body, from what I can see. You could have easily died or busted your head open." "Well, I guess I didn't, so maybe this isn't the time for any of my wishes to come true." "What is that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, Dad. It meant nothing." Her father brought her home in his arms. He told her mother that Veronika needed to rest for the remainder of the night. Her mother nodded, but made Veronika take the baby with her to sleep because her mother was busy watching a movie with Armin. Speaking of whom, one day when Veronika was home, her brother was in the kitchen with her mother and Armin. Her brother was doing an exercise similar to squats. Suddenly, she heard her brother scream bloody murder, a rarity for him. It sounded like something truly horrific was going on. When Veronika investigated, she found Armin dangling her brother by his ear while her mother sipped on coffee. Shortly thereafter, her brother's ear was torn and began to spatter blood all over. Veronika grabbed her brother and raced to the bathroom and tried to get him fixed up. Her mother tried to assist with this, but had little to contribute. She ran back to the kitchen and screamed at Armin, "All I told you to do was to make the baby manlier and stronger, not to hurt him like this." Veronika consoled her brother as she tended to his wounds. She had to reassure him that he hadn't behaved in a way that merited the mutilation. Veronika overheard her mother ordering Armin to never lay a finger on her son again. Veronika wished she were telling him the same about her. As Veronika approached her 9th birthday, she felt she was living the life of someone enlisted in the armed forces. As she told it, "Seeing my friends enjoy things day after day, while my days were mostly dark and painful, made me feel discouraged and useless. I knew that I had many important roles which I had to play: a mother, a maid, a teacher, a student, and even a punching bag. Even with all these responsibilities and roles, I felt totally unwanted and unneeded, almost like an abandoned piece of furniture." One day, the principal of Veronika's school called her parents in to inform them that Veronika could not be passed on to the 4th grade due to failing grades. Her parents were advised to place Veronika in another school since grades were not transferable from one school to the next in Russia. On their way home, her mother was furious. She said to Veronika, "I cannot believe how retarded you are. You are a pure pig and not a child. You couldn't even get passing grades. Ugly bitch. I can't believe you just shamed me this way and made me sit there in front of the principal like I was some sort of stupid kid. Wait until we get home, and you will see who will be a troubled kid." She anticipated a beating from Armin upon returning home, but mercifully her grandmother was there taking care of her brother. Her mother said to her sarcastically, "Oh, thank you for taking Tigran to the park, just like I asked." Her grandmother said to Veronika, "I am visiting for a couple of days and just got to Sochi this morning." Gram, you literally could not have picked a better time to visit. Veronika's parents left her with only about 2 days' worth of food after leaving for a 2-week vacation. To provide for her grandmother, her baby brother, and herself, she resorted to doing odd jobs for neighbors, begging on the street, dumpster diving, and picking wild fruit to feed everyone. Sometimes she was so desperate for food, she would remove wads of chewing gum from the ground and swallow them. When her parents were back, her mother had her and her brother join her and Armin at the table in the kitchen for a meal. While Veronika was eating, Armin said, "Chew each piece of food exactly 32 times. I am trying, but my teeth hurt, and the food is already gone after I chewed it a few times." Changing the subject, he said, "So I was talking to your mother about the issues you had at school, and she said they threw you out for being stupid. Is that true?" "They did let me go, but I don't think it was because I was stupid. I think it was because I missed too many days of school. At least that's what the principal said." No. It's because you were stupid and got bad grades, and now you have to do very good in this other school so that your old school can take you back, like a little lost pet." "I understand, Uncle. I will do my best in the new school, although I heard it's much harder and the kids there are much smarter. After talking to your mother about how we can prevent you from getting bad grades and doing badly in the new school in September, I came up with a great preventative schedule that she completely agreed with." "You have a preventative schedule?" "Yes, that is correct. But how can we prevent something from happening?" "Well, what we decided to do is schedule a half-hour session 3 times per week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 4 o'clock to 4:30 in the afternoon, right after you get back from school and right before you go to your music lesson. The sessions will consist of you lying face down on the sofa and me giving you between 15 and 30 lashes on your back in those 30 minutes. Depending on how good you are, and if you don't move, I might give you only 15. All this is just in case you get bad grades or don't behave." "Wait, are you saying that if I get in trouble or have bad grades, there will be a separate discipline from the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday discipline?" "That is correct. This is called prophylactic discipline, and it was used in the ancient world when the slaves and animals were trained to not misbehave before something actually occurred. It really works. Trust me on that." "But what if I wasn't going to misbehave? Then what would happen?" "Well, we can't hope that you will not, because you have proven that you will do badly in school, even though what the elementary education teaches is very primitive and simplistic." That evening, Veronika rushed to the bathroom as she began to vomit. Subsequent to vomiting, she was exhausted and fell to the floor. Drinking ground puddle water, eating food from the garbage, and unripened fruit were possible causes for her sickness. She was admitted to a children's hospital on an inpatient basis. Veronika was placed in quarantine, much to her chagrin. She begged to be discharged, but the doctors informed her that she had infections and other issues that needed to be treated before she could leave. One doctor said to her, "You have probably never heard of any of these things, but I will tell you what we have found. You have an intestinal worm, pinworms, mumps, a liver fluke, and diphtheria, as well as food poisoning. We really need you to answer all our questions right so that we can start to give you what your body needs immediately in order for you to get better. To be totally honest with you, we are completely shocked that you are not in a coma and that you are even still alive. So please try to cooperate with us the best you can." She was housed in a plastic cube that protected her from airborne contaminants. She received no visitors for 2 weeks, as she received one treatment after another, like injections, IVs, pills, and other medicinal procedures. When she was wheeled out of quarantine, a doctor told her about her journal back from what appeared to be the brink of death. With your combination of conditions, you are by far the most challenging patient I have had to face in my whole career. But you did it. You were going to be healthy again. Veronika was weak and tired when she returned home. The doctors advised her parents that she needed rest. Her mother told her brother not to interact with Veronika, telling him she was infectious. He defied her and gave her a salutatory hug anyway. The occasion wasn't enough to merit mercy in her mother, for she invited Armin over to torture Veronika. He called her from the kitchen and ordered her to bring the two heaviest books in the living room. This was difficult for Veronika in her weakened condition, but she managed to lug them there. She placed them on the table with what little strength remained. She was turning to return to the living room when he said, "Wait a minute, Vera, come back here. I have to check something. I need to see if you have any physical strength left in you, so come and pick these books back up." "I don't understand what you're trying to make me do, Uncle." "Oh, I forgot that you were stupid. It's okay, I'll say it slower. I need you to take these books and hold them up in front of you. Do you understand now?" "I understood that part, Uncle, but I was confused about why you want to check to see if I have any energy left, because I don't." "Pick these stupid books up and hold them in front of you, or I will smash them in your face." Veronika picked up the books and held them. She nearly fell to the floor from the weight, but she managed to retain her balance. He said, "Hold them in front of you with straight arms and without touching your body." She held them for a moment longer, but her strength quickly diminished, and they began to slip. He shouted at her, "Now you better keep them there until I tell you to put them down. Do you understand?" "Yes, Uncle, I do." At this point, the struggle to hold the books aloft became more than she could bear. She said, "Uncle, I can't hold them any more. My arms hurt badly, and I don't feel good in my belly." He said, "Fine, okay, I will help you then." His idea of helping her was to take each book and bash her over the head with them. "How about that? Now you can hold them on your head. You can use your hands, but just so the books don't fall off. You got that?" She didn't answer right away, because having very thick hardcover books slammed on her head gave her a migraine, lightheadedness, and blurred vision. She felt like she was going to faint. He made her balance the book from one arm to another until her mother went to bed. Armin didn't find the abuse amusing anymore, for he said, "I am bored. Get out of my face. You are definitely and completely stupid, and this is perfect proof of that. I said you were boring me, now get out of here." He shoved her out of the way. She fell to the floor, and the books went with her. She struggled to pick them back up. That night, when she went to bed, she repeated a phrase to herself. "I don't want to wake up. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to wake up." Her brother often told her that she talked and cried in her sleep. One day, Veronika was allowed to go out to play by her father. She played with her friends when a crop of watermelons appeared in the river, having apparently been washed away from a farm. She brought home a watermelon after having waded into the river to get one. When she got home, her mother was angry at her, as always. She was furious that her father allowed her to go out and that she was out for 2 hours. Armin was there. Her mother said, "I am not even going to ask you where you went. I told your father that you didn't deserve to go outside to play. But no, he thought you should get some fresh air. I guess living on the top floor of the building doesn't give you enough of that. Armin said, I told you that we should start the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule as soon as possible, and see, I was right. Well, I guess it's time, and it is Monday. So why don't you go to the balcony and prepare yourself? But Uncle, I am totally wet, tired, and haven't eaten anything. Plus, didn't you say the punishment was supposed to be during the school day and from 4 o'clock to 4:30 in the afternoon? I don't know exactly what I said or didn't say, but I do know that you have 1 minute to go to the balcony, take off your dress, and lie face down. I will be there soon. He unbuckled his belt. Veronika was lying face down on the balcony. She placed her wet dress underneath her. Her panties were translucent due to the immersion in water, and he would look at her developing body in a state of relative undress. She shivered from being wet and from dreading the lashes she was about to receive. He whacked the belt against the walls to scare her. When he arrived at the balcony, he said, "Are you trying to get me to whip you on top of your underwear? Are you trying to use it as a cover? You were actually quite stupid, because it will hurt more since the material is completely wet." "I know, but I'd rather keep them on. It makes me feel better." That was the first of regular just-in-case beatings Veronika would receive as a preemptive measure to ensure she would not disobey her mother or Armin. Though he vowed that he wouldn't give her more than 15 lashes if she didn't scream, sometimes he would give her more. He would leave bloody bruises on her legs up to her neck. Due to the fact that she was being disciplined no matter what she did, whether she was behaving or not, Veronika decided to claim her autonomy. The consequences for doing what she wanted or what her mother wanted would be the same, so she opened up her life to new experiences. Veronika made friends at her new school, and those girls liked to get into mischief. They led Veronika astray, which led to writing profanities on washroom stall walls and ringing a recess bell ahead of schedule. Her parents were called into school. The day after her parents' meeting with the principal, Armin showed up at Veronika's home. He summoned her into the kitchen by screaming her name, as usual. He was in a good mood. He said, "You must be wondering why I am so happy, aren't you?" "No, not really. I wasn't wondering that at all. I didn't even realize that you were." "Well, in case you were curious, I am just so very amused at how stupid you still are, even at your new school. I am also amused at how much you don't learn or understand what it means to be a normal human. As you already may have suspected, you will have to be punished. And as you also probably know, you are still going to stay on the 3 times per week schedule. What you don't know is that in addition to those punishments, you are not allowed to eat or drink until Monday morning, which is almost 48 hours away. You can't play the piano either, or even do your homework from the music school. Oh, and you can't play with your brother either, or watch any TV, go outside, or read. And you are definitely not going to get any new clothes or boots for the winter. So I would suggest you practice wrapping your feet in plastic bags so they don't get wet from those holes in your shoes." "Is that it?" "Is that it? You were asking me if that is it? No, that wasn't it at all. I have another new punishment that should make your brain think better. What you're going to do is face the cement wall right next to you and start to hit your forehead on it, non-stop, until I see the first trickle of blood. I read somewhere that this is supposed to promote brain activities. You want me to do what? I know it's too difficult for you to understand because you are stupid, but I need you to simply hit your forehead onto the wall as hard as you need to until blood first shows itself, most likely from your nose. Veronika complied and banged her head against a wall. It wasn't enough to give herself a bleeding nose, but it did leave her lightheaded. After 10 minutes of this, Armin was dissatisfied. He grabbed her by her ponytail and bashed her head into the wall with all of his strength. For a moment, she felt her brain rattle, and her vision turned black. She stumbled backwards into another wall. Her nose was bleeding, and there were spots of blood on the wall. Her mother sat drinking coffee just 3 feet away. Armin shouted, "Now your brain woke the hell up. You see what I was talking about? That is how you properly hit your head on the wall. And it is the fastest and easiest way to get the blood to come out, too." She began to make her way to the bathroom to clean up when he shouted, "Wait a minute. We have to test if it worked. What is 1 plus 1? Tell me." It wasn't the best possible time for a math quiz, since she had to hold on to the wall to keep her balance, and she was experiencing a great deal of confusion and brain fog. She had a splitting headache, and she felt nauseous. She said 3. 1 plus 1 is 3? Ha ha ha! Can you believe that? The answer is 3. Ha ha ha! Wow! I guess we have to repeat this session a few more times until you get smarter. Your brain really is not much smarter than that of a pig. Now go clean up and then take care of this mess you made. Ugly slob. Veronika went to the living room to lay down after cleaning the blood off the kitchen wall. She began to cry, saying to herself softly, so that Armin and her mother would not hear, "I am completely useless and only good for the abuse and sadistic fun of that man. I am like an animal with cruel owners who hurt me just because they feel like it. I can't help myself and therefore can't help anyone else." Unable to withstand any more torture, with Armin's beatings, her mother's hatred, and her father's indifference, Veronika became suicidal. After hearing her father tell her mother about patients of his who had killed themselves or attempted suicide, Veronika went to a library to do research on suicide techniques. She learned that pharmaceutical overdose was a common method. Her father always had sleeping pills at home, which her mother took for her own insomnia. Veronika took some of the pills, having decided she would die from an excessive dose. She decided to talk to her brother about what she was about to do so that he wouldn't be too devastated in the aftermath of her death. The conversation went as follows. "Tico, do you know what people call freedom?" "Yes. It's like when you can do what you want." "Yes, it's kind of like that, but there is more to it." "I know it's also kind of like birds that fly outside." "Yes, that is very good. That is the perfect way to see it." "And it's also like when we can play when we want." "Yes, and we can laugh, sing, and even run around the house. And go outside and come home when we want, even late." "Yes, sweetie. All that is what freedom is. You are smart." Oh, and also when Uncle Armin doesn't come here." "Yes, that is definitely a huge part of our freedom, especially for me. If you can't have a carefree feeling inside your heart, and if you are scared to come home every day, it's just not worth it. It's a terrible way to live. I can't do anything that I want without getting in trouble for it. And you know that Uncle Armin beats me all the time. because you probably heard me scream and cry. Do you agree with me? Yes, Vera, I think I agree with you, but I'm not sure. Okay, Tico. If we switched places with each other, would you stay here or would you go away to be free? I would leave, I think, and go to be free so I could play with kids and not see Uncle Armin. Okay, I hope you fully understand me and will one day remember this conversation without being mad at me. I want you to understand why I did what I had to do, and I don't want you to judge me for giving up and choosing freedom over everything else. She wanted to hug him, but when he hugged her back, he would inadvertently touch her wounds, which was excruciatingly painful for her. Veronika didn't want her brother to witness her death, so she convinced him to sleep with her mother that night. After her mother retired to her bedroom at 11, Veronika obtained water so she could swallow all the sleeping pills. There were 20 of them. She placed them all in her mouth at once and gulped down the water quickly to flush them down. She lay down on the sofa and waited for sleep and death to usher her out of her miserable existence. A warm and pleasant feeling swept over her as she drifted off into unconsciousness. Her brother's voice bled into her consciousness like fog rolling into a harbor front. She had minimal control over her limbs. Even breathing was a concentrated effort. Her mother ordered her brother to call their father at work. Then, instead of offering her support, she started berating Veronika, saying, "You are such a stupid fool. Why? Why? Why would you do this? Throw up right now." She placed some kind of dish or bowl against her chest to catch vomit, but Veronika was unable to. Her mother pressed two of Veronika's fingers together and placed them in her mouth. She said, "If you don't throw up right now, you may die. Do you understand me or not?" Her mother dragged Veronika with her hands under her arms to the bathroom. She installed her at the toilet and commanded her to throw up. She placed her fingers in her mouth again, and this time she vomited. There was so much bile it hit the toilet seat and some landed on the floor. Her mother wasn't finished admonishing her. "You are crazy. You are psychotic. You are selfish. You only ever think of yourself. Why would you do this to me? Did you think about your brother or who would raise him when I am working? No." After her mother screamed at her for a moment, her father returned home. He said to her mother, "What happened here? What is wrong with her? Why is she throwing up?" "I don't know what happened exactly, but I think I saw an empty box of sleeping pills on the table. Most likely she took all 20 of them. Tigran called me because she wouldn't wake up, and she is always up before all of us." Her father picked her up and brought her to the living room to lay her down. He cleaned her face with a wet towel. He had her brother bring him his medical case. He checked her blood pressure and gave her an injection. He said, "I don't know why you took these pills, but when you feel better, we need to talk. You can't do this and think it's okay. I don't know what is going on with you, but I don't think that killing yourself is the right choice. You were almost 11 years old." Veronika got a report card which revealed a significant improvement in her output. She was now qualified to return to her previous school. Armin demanded to inspect the report card. He said, "Well, you were lucky you have the prophylactic session today. Otherwise, I would have had to use the whip or other things on you. These grades are terrible. Go to the balcony and get ready. I will be right there." "Can we not do it today, Uncle? Please. I have my final music performance in 2 hours and still have to warm up and catch 2 buses. No, I am not changing our schedule for anything. Go. I will be right there. After receiving one of the most painful beatings ever due to Armin's whipping her wounds he had already created, Veronika went from wishing death upon herself to fantasizing about Armin and her mother meeting the scythe of the grim reaper. As she put it, I realized that I didn't deserve any of this, and he was just taking advantage of me because there was no one to protect me or stop him. He could pretty much do whatever he wanted to me, and I was too scared to tell my grandpa or anyone else. That terrible hope of death that I developed for him started to also grow toward my mother. I realized that she let all these things happen, and in many cases was the one who asked Armin to beat me. I felt that she actually enjoyed me screaming and crying and liked listening to my moaning sounds, all a byproduct of Armin's sadism. Veronika had her first period and the pain and cramps that went along with it. It was the only time when her mother took an interest in her well-being. She told Veronika that she was no longer a little girl, but a woman. Later that day, Armin came over to give Veronika her prophylactic beating. He was informed that she had her period, but he was skeptical. He saw that she had put a t-shirt in her underpants, since her mother did not give her feminine hygiene products. He said to her, "Did you poop yourself or something? What is that in your underwear? A small volleyball? Ha ha ha. It's an old t-shirt. My mom told me to use it." "I don't even believe you. You aren't even 11 yet. You probably made this all up to try and get out of your well-earned prophylactic sessions." He lashed her with a buckle end first, and she screamed. This riled Armin up. He said, "Shut your ugly mouth, bitch." He pushed her head into the pillow, smothering her. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't expect the buckle, Uncle. Please don't use that on me now." "Okay, fine. Just shut your mouth. I don't even believe you were having a period in the first place." Before he resumed whipping her, he said, "I want proof that you aren't lying and do in fact have a period." He pulled her panties down and saw that there were no traces of blood. He said, "You are a nasty and dirty liar. You are a little bitch, a dirty, lying pig." "I am not lying, Uncle. I just cleaned up, and that's why you may not see anything. I am sure if I get up and walk around for a minute, some of it will show up again, and I can prove it to you. I am keeping your underwear down, and will be beating you on your bare skin. If you don't like it, you can turn over, and I will whip the front of your body instead." No, not on the front, please. I will stay just like this. You can leave my underwear down if that's what you want. Just please don't make me turn around." He lashed her on her back, buttocks, and legs. The lashes were delivered with as much ferocity as speed. He suddenly stopped and said, "Oh, look, I guess you weren't lying. I see some blood coming out. I will stop for now. I think you got more than 30 today anyway." Some karma was dished out shortly thereafter, when Armin stubbed his toe on her parents' bed and banged his head when he fell to the floor. It was very satisfying and humorous for her to see that. She wished for it when making her New Year's Eve list. One day while her parents were away and she was taking care of her brother alone, Armin showed up. At first, she didn't answer the doorbell when she saw him through the peephole. He stopped ringing the doorbell and began to leave when her brother emerged in the living room and screamed, "Here you are, Vera, I found you." "Oh my God, Tigran, be quiet." The doorbell began to ring again. Veronika said, "I'm coming. Hold on 1 minute. Please, I'll be right there." Armin screamed, "Open this damn door now." She unlocked it and said, "It's open, Uncle. Please come in." "Are you trying to fool me, you little bitch?" No, 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 Uncle. I wasn't fooling you. I opened the door as soon as I heard and saw you. The door in the living room was closed, and I didn't hear the bell. Do you think I am a stupid man? I heard Tigran scream out that he found you. You were not in the living room." "No, I don't think you were stupid, and I didn't hear the doorbell. Maybe because the TV was too loud in the living room. But I did hear you knocking on it, so that's when I came up and opened it. Where are your parents? You are getting punished for lying to me, right now." He grabbed her hand and dragged her into the kitchen. My parents are not home. That is even better. I don't need them here. They trust me enough to know that I am working on you. I am turning you from an animal, an absolutely nothing it, into a good human being. I mean to say that they are not here, not in Sochi, because they are on vacation for 2 weeks. They will be back a few days from now. What? Wow. That is strange. They left you alone? Just you two for 2 weeks? Yes, Uncle, they did, and it's okay. I don't mind. That's very interesting. I wish I had known about it when they left. Well, they won't be back for a few days, as you said, so we have plenty of time. Okay, so you did lie to me about not knowing that I was the one ringing the doorbell? I see some dishes in the sink. You left lots of dirty clothes in the bathroom that you should have hand washed, squeezed, and hung on the lines outside the window to dry. I see that none of that is done, so you were in trouble. He went to the bathroom and returned with a first aid kit and a small towel. He looked through the kitchen cupboards until he found a glass jar containing a granulated substance. He handed her the towel. He opened the first aid kit and removed the lid from the glass jar. He unfolded a cloth to reveal her father's straight razor. Armin said, "Okay, so what we are going to do is a method of punishment that was used many centuries ago, often on someone who was hiding the truth or lying. What I will be doing is cutting your inner arm with this thin, sharp blade. I will cut you slowly so it won't leave big scars." Her initial reaction was disbelief. Then she was struck by fright. "I am very confused, Uncle. You were saying that you will cut my arm open?" "Yes, I am, and you deserve every second of it. You are a terrible person, a horrible daughter, and not even a complete human being." "But Uncle, I took care of my baby brother day and night, cleaned the house, didn't get into any trouble, and always did everything you asked me to do." "Your brother is fully your responsibility, so don't make out like you were doing your parents a favor by watching him. Put the towel in your mouth and bite down on it, because I don't want to hear your animal-like noises. The longer you wait, the longer I will take, so give me your right hand now." She thought of escaping, but she wasn't sure that her brother could keep up. Resigning herself to her fate, she said, "Okay, Uncle, go ahead. I will just bite down on the towel." He smiled. He was giddy with anticipation. He loved that shit. The pain was worse than anything she had experienced before. She screamed into the towel as she bled. He made several cuts. The pain was so excruciating, she went into convulsions. He said, "Okay, you did very well. It's all cut, and now you can look." She beheld the 6 cuts he made with horror. He admired them with pride. She put the towel on her lap. He said, "If I were you, I would leave that towel in your mouth." "Why? Are you going to cut my left arm too?" "Oh, no, no more cutting. I don't think it affects you that much. This was only the first part of the procedure." "It didn't affect me? It was the most painful thing I ever felt." "Whatever, just put the towel back in your mouth and be quiet. I have to continue." She placed the towel into her mouth. He poured some of the contents of the glass jar on the table. He spread one of Veronica's cuts open wider, which exacerbated the pain she was in. It made her scream. He put the grains individually into the cut and then squeezed it shut. He was salting the wounds, and she had never experienced a sensation so torturous. She was writhing from the pain. The asshole said, "Stop shaking. It is only salt. The faster you let me place the grains inside every cut, the faster you'll be done." He began dressing the arm with bandages, leaving the salt inside the wounds. He said, "See, it wasn't that bad, was it? Now you will have a few hours, maybe the rest of the day, to think about fooling me again." She continued to release sounds uncontrollably due to the pain. He said to her, "Oh my, I didn't even realize I have been at it for over an hour. Why don't you get up and wash these dishes in the sink and then boil me some fresh water for my tea? After all, I am your guest." She couldn't bring herself to do anything. She continued to heave and moan. After a few minutes of that, he grabbed her chair and pulled it out from underneath her. She fell to the floor, her injured arm hitting the table on the way down, which caused her to scream. The pain was so severe at that point that she couldn't stop the sounds she was making. Armin became angrier. He bent over and placed his hand on her mouth. "Shut your ugly mouth, you useless pig. Don't make me squeeze your right arm, because trust me, I will." Just then, the doorbell rang, followed by 3 knocks. Armin said to Veronika, "I will tell them you are sleeping. You better not make a sound until I come and get you. If you do, you will regret it for the rest of your worthless life." She went to her parents' bedroom as directed. Armin shouted at the guest waiting to be let in. He said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" The voice was that of her grandfather, her favorite person in the world. "Hi, I am fine. What are you doing opening the door?" Sounding a little unsure of himself, Armin said, "I came by to check on the kids while your daughter and son-in-law were on vacation." "Where are Veronika and Tigran?" "Tigran is taking a nap in the living room, and Vera is sleeping in the bedroom. I wasn't going to wake her up because it looked like she had been cleaning the house all day." That's strange. She's always told me she is never able to take naps at home during the day. And what do you mean my daughter is on vacation? Do you mean they went on a day trip?" "No, I guess they went away for 2 weeks." "What? What do you mean 2 weeks? Are they crazy? They left 2 little kids alone? Oh my God. I didn't even know. When Vera came by the house with Tigran the other day, I assumed they were just visiting." After her grandfather left, Armin went to the bedroom to order Veronika to do the dishes and make him a cup of tea. She did both while crying uncontrollably from the unbearable pain. It took a long time for the cuts to heal, and she was left with scars. She didn't tell her parents the truth about how she got them for fear of a reprisal from Armin. A change came over Veronika. She lost interest in many of the things that once brought her joy. She developed a somewhat misanthropic outlook on people and trusted few. She tolerated no disrespect, even if it was just a condescending word. She looked around at her peers and resented the fact that they didn't suffer the same abuse as she did. She invested the bare minimum of effort in her chores. She talked and fought back whenever the abuse was dished out. Whether or not she won out mattered not. She refused to resign herself to victimhood. She would run from Armin and scream, both of which he hated. She would lock herself in a room or run out of the apartment. She would punch or kick Armin. She even bit him on at least one occasion. The screaming began to yield results. Neighbors heard it and became concerned. Eventually, Veronica's other relatives began to hear about it and called Veronica's parents to ask them what was going on. Eventually, the neighbors would bang on their door or on their own walls when the screaming began. The beatings would stop immediately. Because Veronika made the beatings so difficult for Armin, he asked her parents for their help. He entreated them to hold Veronika down and cover her mouth so he could beat her. They complied and held her to the floor. He beat her with sticks, belts, shoes, or a whip. Armin struck her all up and down her body, even her face. After receiving some bad grades, Armin threatened her with a beating. She tried to negotiate her way out of it by doing chores for him or even having sex. He went for the beating instead. He caned her all over her body. She ran to the bathroom and closed the door. His legs were blocking her path out of the bathroom, so she bit his calf. He cried out in pain and said, "You are a worthless piece of shit. You will regret this for the rest of your life." With this distraction in place, she ran out of the apartment and escaped to the woods nearby. Armin brought Veronika to a dentist to have some of her teeth removed. After the procedure, the dentist conveyed to Armin that the procedure would soon be regrettable. He said, "I hope you understand that this was unnecessary." "No, Doc, you helped her to look normal." "Buddy, those were her permanent molars, and she won't have anything back there to chew food with now or for the rest of her life. That will likely cause her to use her other teeth, which will wear them out faster and eventually break. The front teeth are not meant for chewing like that." "She is fine, Doc. At least she will think twice before biting someone again." Veronika's mother doubled down on the verbal abuse. She would call Veronika and her brother into the kitchen and point out how well-proportioned her brother was. In comparing Veronika to her brother, she would say something like, "Now look at him, Vera. Do you see how beautiful he is compared to you? Do you see how straight and long his fingers are, unlike your short and curved ones? Just look at his long, straight legs that look like bottles. That is how women's legs should look. They are perfect, with the calf muscles touching each other. His are just like mine, but not yours. You look like you've been riding a horse for the past 2 years. Plus, you don't have a neck. There's hair all over your body, and you have a big round face with a short forehead, which means, by the way, that you aren't too smart. You have a terrible manly body type. I feel bad for you because you definitely inherited that from your father. It's okay for a man to look like that, but not for a woman." Once she was done denigrating Veronika based on her physical attributes, she would move on to her character. "You definitely took after your father and his mother, or maybe one of his sisters, when it comes to your manners and character. You are useless and stupid, as well as selfish and lazy. Oh, and you can't even get a single A in school." Her father didn't like it when her mother said such things, but he wasn't home enough to defend Veronika. When he did, he would say something like, "Well, maybe some of those physical characteristics are true because she does look like me, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's not known yet if our son's feminine features are a good thing or a bad thing, so we shouldn't talk about the physical appearances of our kids at such a young age. They are too little for us to tell what they will look like later on in life. At least, among all the other great things she inherited from me, is the most important one, her brains and how smart she is." One day, Veronika was visiting her grandfather when she was 16 and getting close to 17. Her grandfather gave her some advice. He challenged her to defy her fear of the unknown. I think it's time for you to be brave and strong, to take chances in life and then see where it will take you. You stayed with your parents for many years despite the abuse. I know you were too young to run away and you didn't want to leave your baby brother behind. You chose the familiar and harmful versus freedom every time. Now you are not a little girl anymore, and you are almost at the legal age. Whether I am with you or not, you have to have a mindset of choosing freedom if the other choice will harm you. Do you understand me? I understand what you mean. What I don't like is you saying that you might not be with me, because that isn't an option. I'm not sure why you would even say such a thing. There is one last important thing today that I need you to remember. No matter what happens, you need to dream big, unrealistically big. Even if it sounds totally crazy to you, I need you to still dream it and visualize it. If you come across challenges on the way to your dreams, do not go around them. Do not try to skip or leave them for later. Face them, fight through them, and win. Get to your goal no matter what, and never lose hope or faith in a positive outcome. When you achieve it, move on to the next one. Okay, I've got it, and you will be there by my side to see it all. Oh, there is one more thing that I completely forgot to mention. When you are dreaming and visualizing what you want, you should do it at a specific time of each day. That way it will stick with you and you won't forget. Well, every time I look at the clock, the TV, or the radio, it always seems to read 11:11. I see it a lot. I think I will pick that time in the morning and at night. Perfect. That's a great universal number. Start wishing for things as much as possible at 11:11. And don't give up, even if it takes you years for the wishes to come true. Veronika's life had improved in many ways. She had a boyfriend, she made new friends, she was enrolled in a college to study music, and was succeeding. One downside of her life was that her grandfather was ill. After recovering from a violent home invasion, he was stricken by colon cancer. Though his survival was not guaranteed, Veronika still clung to her plan to move in with him once she turned 17. She told him she was in love with a Georgian boy, of whom her father would not approve. Her father only wanted her to couple with an Armenian boy. She said, "Dad won't talk to me or come to my wedding." "I know, but don't you worry about that. If he turns his back on you, I will walk you down the aisle in his place, and will give you my blessing. I will definitely bring him in 3 weeks to meet you. Just please try to get better. We have lots to do. I was even thinking that after we get married, we could live with you while I try to get accepted to medical school. As you know, although I love music, my true passion is biology and medicine. I really would love to be able to save people's lives, just like my dad. My mom said that I am not smart enough for medical school, but I always got A's in all my science classes. I truly care about human beings, especially small children who are so helpless. Listen, you are stronger and more powerful than you might think. I don't know what exactly happened to you through the years, but I know you have had a very hard life. Despite all that, you are still happy, laugh quite often, are helpful, kind, and generous. You have a strong will and want to help others. If you want to be a doctor, you will be a doctor. Only you can stop you. All of your kind deeds affect people. You may not even see it or realize it, but even small acts can change someone's mood, belief, or faith. It's a chain reaction. Don't you ever give up on your passionate desires. Never ever give up. That is something you have to stay true to and keep after. These remarks erased the feelings of self-doubt that were implanted in her mind by her mother and Armin. She now felt she was capable of extraordinary things, and she looked to the future with optimism. Veronika's grandfather died, and she was devastated. She screamed at his deathbed and had to be restrained at his burial. She was locked in the denial state of grief. Once the burial was over, she looked at the future and beheld a vision that was very bleak. Without her grandfather, she could identify no reason to carry on. She went to the shore of the Black Sea and walked into the water. She had decided to kill herself. While she was in the water, she heard a familiar voice calling her name. Her boyfriend, Aslan. He said, "Why did you go into the water fully dressed?" "Aslan, I don't know what I was thinking or doing. I do know that you and I are doomed, and nothing good is ever going to happen again." "What's gotten into you? What are you talking about? And why are you saying these things all of a sudden? Aren't we going to see your grandpa today? I was waiting for you to come and get me this morning, but you never showed up." "He is dead, Aslan. He is gone. He died a couple of days ago. It's over." "Oh my God, I am so sorry, sweetie. I am so sorry." He hugged her. He said, "He is never gone, though. It's just his body that has left us. He will always be by your side. He will watch over you for the rest of your life, just like he promised. I am sure of that." Without realizing it, Aslan saved her life. After conferring with Aslan, Veronika decided to tell her parents about her plans to get an apartment with Aslan when she turned 17 and eventually marry him. Her father was outraged, saying that she only had permission to marry an Armenian boy, and that if she defied his wishes, he would never speak to her again. He went on to say, "Do you remember the wedding of your cousin, Lucine, who is in America right now?" "Yes, I think so. Is she the one who got married 3 years ago?" "Yes, that one. She married a very good Armenian man. And do you remember the picture of his brothers that I showed you?" "No, Dad, I don't. I was only 13 and didn't pay any attention to those things. I don't even remember what they looked like." "Well, you should really pick one of them to marry, not some poor Georgian boy who has no chance to ever give you a good life." "Dad, I love him, and he is who I want to be with. I'm sorry." She left the kitchen feeling very downhearted and headed to the living room. A week later, her parents invited Veronika to have a discussion. Her mother began, "We have discussed our last conversation in depth and have had second thoughts. Although it is not what we believe in, we will support your decision about that boy." Veronika was taken aback by her mother's charitable tone. Her father interjected, "But there is one thing we need you to do for us first." "Of course, anything you want, anything at all. I need to go to America to visit my mother and my sister, and I want you to come with me." "America? Oh my God. Wow. Yes, of course, I would love to." Though she didn't want to be away from Aslan too long, she was excited by the possibilities of the trip. "How many days will we be gone, Dad?" "Well, we have to first take a train to Moscow and go to the American embassy for our visas. And then as soon as you finish at the colleges in May, we can fly to New York." "Wow, that sounds great. I can't believe I will be going to America. This is so unreal. I am so happy. Everything is coming to a happy ending for me in all the areas of my life." Indeed, she was headed toward a life where her mother and Armin could not harm her. Thank you for listening to Human Monsters. Bye for now.